Good evening. Laura Donnelly here with Dancing with Ease, Body Brain Balance, and day 161 of Strange and Interesting Times. I was gone for a couple days, and my cat is really glad to see me, so she won't leave me alone, which is kind of fun. Kind of funny looking, but kind of fun. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about how to take care of yourself when the people you love are driving you crazy, which happens a lot, and also how it is that taking care of yourself actually allows you to help the people you care about much better. So starting with the number 161, if you add those all together, the 1 and the 6 and the 1, you get 8. And 8 is a number for balance. And Donita, but so are you. You've been here many, many of these days, Donita. They're so great. So the thing about balance is that it's a dynamic thing. It's not a once and done. It's not a fixed thing. Balance isn't a fixed thing. Balance is a dynamic thing. It shifts, it changes. When you're sitting, you might not think about it, but you are balanced in relationship to the chair, and you are balanced on certain parts of your body, your bottom, the back of your legs, and your feet on the floor. When you're standing, you're balanced a different way, vertically balanced on your feet. It's one of the really unique things about being a human is that we walk on 2 legs most all the time. When you're laying down, you're balanced in a horizontal position. So there's all kinds of balance, and it changes all the time. So I like to talk about it as a dynamic balance, so that you think of dynamic as a dynamo, something that's moving all the time. Hey, Mary, great to see you. And so that's what your balance is doing all the time. It's shifting here a little, shifting there a little. Maybe you tip your head. When you tip your head, that's a different alignment of your body. Tip your head the other way. I have my legs crossed, which makes for a different balance. My cat's sitting on one side of my leg more than the other, so I have to counterbalance that. Things change your balance all day long, and your body really pretty much knows how to deal with it. So there's that. And then there is how we get out of balance when we stress ourselves out, or perhaps we take on the stress of a good friend or a family member who is going through a rough time, and we absorb their stress in, I think sometimes if somebody's upset and we think that it is supporting them to get upset with them, to agree with their upsetness. And sometimes we don't have any choice because they're just like so spewingly upset that we get all churned up in it. It's sort of like if you're cooking and you smash the yolk and whip it into the egg white, and then you can't tell the yolk from the white, and the yolk isn't as yellow, and the white is not white at all anymore. It's pale gold, and it's all mixed up. So that's what can happen with people, especially people we care about, because we're close to them, and we're energetically close to them, and they have this thing there where they say, well, if that person hurts my friend, then that person is not my friend anymore either. That person, that other person. So there's some kind of loyalty in this, so that if somebody is, well, it's like you see it in divorce all the time, where people who are getting divorced kind of demand that their friends pick one side or the other side, and that if you have a friend who's trying to remain neutral, both parties in the divorce can think that that person is disloyal, when in reality, that person is just trying to hold a balanced place for the couple who's getting divorced so that they can sort things out and figure out how to live apart from each other, but also to be grateful for the things they did together that were good, because usually nothing is all one way. That's another thing about balance. If stuff is all good, it falls over on the good side. If it's all bad, it falls over on the bad side. And we live in a life where things are good and bad. And what's good for me might not be good for you. And something that upsets you terribly might not upset me at all. So then, what do you do when you really care about somebody and you watch them throw themselves like into a, you guys remember bumper cars? I sort of think they don't have bumper cars anymore. I think that maybe that was one of these things that was not safe enough. But when I was a kid, you could, it was like going to a roller rink, sort of, but it was a bumper car rink. And you rented the bumper car and you drove all around it. And I was always trying to drive neatly and carefully around the track. And I would get really mad when people bumped into me because I was trying to drive. I wasn't trying to bump. I didn't understand the game. And I didn't understand that we're supposed to be bumping each other into the wall and all this other stuff. But now I'm thinking about this, and I have a good friend. And honestly, she's like the rink, she's like the bumper car, she's like the floor, and she's like all the other cars that are getting bumped into and bumping into her all at one time. And it's exhausting to watch. It's exhausting to listen to. It's exhausting partly because I know how bad that feels, because I kind of used to do it a lot. And so then I feel empathetic exhaustion. Besides, yes, you never get anywhere at bumper cars, Mary. That's exactly, I'm putting that on the screen because I remember how to put it on the screen just at this now. Yeah, and this is the truth about this kind of emotional discharge. It's a discharge, and it feels energetic, and it feels like it is going somewhere. It's supposed to be like you're going round and round in the bumper car rink, and you think you're going somewhere, but you're not getting anywhere. You're just banging into things and bouncing off of things and going round and round in a circle. Because for some reason, people didn't turn around and go a different direction. Anybody who understands bumper cars and knows why that didn't happen could let me know. So this is a really key piece of information about dealing with our emotions and dealing with the situations in our life. Because a lot of times, I would tell you chronic emotions. That's a really cool word. I'm writing that down. Chronic emotions. We have chronic emotional events, actually, because we have repeating situations in our life. And we usually have repeating situations in our life because the people we care about have repeating situations, and our interactions fall into a pattern of some kind. So the way to deal with that is first to recognize that you have these repeating emotional cycles. So the first step in this whole process of body-brain balance is to observe and notice and kind of catalog what happens. Then you start to see, because you're looking at yourself and you're seeing what you do, then you start to look at everything around you slightly differently and you look at, oh, when this happens, I do this. Interesting. When this person says this, I tend to say that. What if I didn't say that? What if I didn't respond in that way? What if that's a habitual response? A lot of times, our chronic emotional patterns that we have are habitual responses to a given stimulus. Now, the stimulus is going to always happen because it's the world and it's stimulating. But what doesn't have to happen is our habitual response. And that's where the little extra comment I made about one step at a time, one choice at a time, one decision at a time. We can break any habit that we have. We can change the direction of our life. And by doing that, we create an openness and a space for the people we love to, one, observe that we are changing, and two, what happens for me is instead of trying to help the person, which was my kind of default setting, and it wasn't really a default setting, or was it something I learned? Did I learn as a child that I got rewarded for being helpful? And so then being helpful became a good thing to do. And the more I did it, the more reward I got, up to a certain point, till I was just exhausted. That's another story. But I got into a habit of helping. But also my personality, I enjoy helping people. You know, if I open the door for somebody and somebody says, thank you, I'm happy to do that. You know, it's so much of being kind to people, they perceive as helpful, and I might just perceive it as being kind. So I can enjoy that helping idea without being trapped in it. When I was younger, it was kind of the only thing I knew to do is to help. And if I didn't know how to help, I would freeze because I didn't know what to do if I couldn't help. Oh, Donita, thank you. I don't think I don't know how it comes from the other side. So that's also interesting. But what I got better at is realizing that if I calm my energy down and I allow myself to be present, that actually helps the other person. I don't have to hand them a glass of water. I mean, if they ask for a glass of water, I can get them a glass of water. But I don't have to be on guard, observing and trying to fix before there's a problem. Oh, that was really exhausting. A lot of people liked it, but it's kind of exhausting. So now, if I just stay present, I kind of can know and be ready to do something without interfering. Because at a certain point, it was like my little plants in the garden. If I want to help them grow, I need to give them food and fertilizer, and I need to give them water. And I need to not get so excited that I'm pulling them out of the ground trying to help them grow faster. I just have to let them be. And sometimes that is the hardest thing to do with the people we care about, is to let them be. Let them be and let them learn their own lessons as I learn mine. You can't help anybody shortcut things. If they ask you for information and advice, you can say, this is what I learned in my life. This is what I would avoid if I could. This is what I would do again if I had the choice. This is what I would wish would never happen to anybody else if I had the power to prevent that. And still, something that I would wish never happened to someone might be the very thing that they need the most, that causes them to go deep inside themselves, to do Oh, that's interesting. Massive internal work and deep, deep healing. And I don't know what somebody else needs. I, I tell people, I sort of, kind of, some of the time know what I need, but mostly I do know all I have to do is come back to myself. And that is just one step. But it's a one step that I have to do over and over because I get all excited about the world and I get all involved in the world and I forget. Then I come back and I can be present. I can just kind of feel the right thing to do. Like if somebody has somebody came to the office where I was working today, and she had on a pink hat and a pink jacket and a pink mask because of the COVID stuff. And these were different shades of pink, but they looked really good together. And she's having cancer treatment. So she's not great. She's not really well. But I saw her and I said, wow, your mask perfectly matches your coat and your hat. And I could tell she's smiling. I couldn't see her face, but I saw her eyes crinkle up. So she was smiling. And she said, yes, I planned it that way. This is my favorite color. And so, I didn't plan to say anything to her, right? I just saw her, and instead of being worried about her because she's having the treatment, instead of wishing I could help her or something, I came back to myself. And in that moment of coming back to myself, I just spontaneously mentioned how pretty her colors were and how nice it was that her mask matched. And I brought her a moment of joy. And so that was way better than me asking her how she was doing. Was there anything she needed for me to help her with? La la la. Not focusing on what was wrong, focusing on what was right. And when I come back to myself, I'm so much more able to do that. Easily. The right thing comes up when I'm at ease. And Mary said that she had to learn that lesson about when you want to help, you do try and give freely, and you often, I do still engage in a way that is to try and help people feel better. Hi, Kay. It's good to see you. You guys, if you're not friends with Kay, you should be friends with Kay. So I'm going to help you now. She's posting some really wonderful information about biographical information about women from history that is just fascinating. And I found 2 people in the last couple of days that I want to read more about and find out more about. So I would say friend Kay and jump onto that train because she's posting some really really interesting things. The last one was, who else in here knows that Hedy Lamarr was a scientist and an inventor? I mean, how totally cool. I see people think that artists are only artists and scientists are only scientists, but all through the world, creative people are creative people, and they're creative in all kinds of areas, which I think is fascinating and interesting and exciting. So helping works better if people ask for help and then we can provide it. And so this is my other thing, is being at ease in myself is a stealthy way of helping, because the ease communicates and it actually helps somebody who's upset to breathe a little more gently, to breathe a little more softly, to calm down without telling them to calm down, because if somebody's upset and you tell them to calm down, you know how that's going to spiral out of control. Might make its own little mini bumper car war. So now, when I have the impulse to help, what I do is first come back to myself. Pause. I notice that I wanted to help. I notice what's going on. I notice how I feel in response to somebody else's problem. And when I have that like energy that wants to fix that for this other person, I pause. I come back to myself. And I recognize that most of my best learning came from solving problems that I created for myself. And then I started looking at how I created the problem. And I solved back further, not setting up the situation that caused that problem. And so if I take the problem away from somebody and solve it, I'm not really helping them solve the problem. I'm fixing the energy in the immediate moment, which is maybe not the best thing for long term. So notice, see what you see, be kind, be gentle, take care of yourself. And the best way I know to take care of myself is to pause, check in, and scan for ease in my system. And when I do that, my body does this little gentle realignment, a little micro healing and rebalancing. And then I'm able to move forward freely from there. So that's my late night, day 161 of Strange and Interesting Times. I hope that you are having a good week. Tomorrow is Friday. Oh boy, will be day 162. So I'll see you tomorrow. And Monday, I think my good friend Victoria Day will be on talking about different kinds of embodied learning. So that should be good. I think we're going to go on in the evening. I'll try and get the post up this weekend so you have time to plan. Wouldn't that be nice? Take good care.